Dating a narcissist, who you really fall in love with. Welcome to today's topic, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Coach Tobias Forst, founder of Achilles Life Coaching, decade-long recipient of narcissistic abuse, and I've saved myself from it. And I will support you on your journey to your personal freedom. So let's consider the following premise. You're looking back at an ex-partnership that you had, an ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend, or you are in a long-term relationship with a narcissist, and he or she has shown a completely different face than in the beginning, and you ask yourself, the questions you pose to yourself is, how could I have fallen in love with this person back then, because they seem so different right now, and it has become such a manipulative, toxic environment that I find myself in. A very valid question, one I would like to answer for you today, when it comes to your question, who did you actually fall in love with? And this is a coin with two sides. And before we look at the two sides who you actually fell in love with while dating a narcissist in your life, remember that after this, we will take an outlook at your possible dating future, a positive outset. So let's go to the metaphorical coin who you actually fell in love with and look at side number one. Look at heads and then tails. The first aspect of this coin that you actually fall in love with while dating a narcissist is your mirrored self. Your self being mirrored by the narcissist that you're dating. They are very keen and observing in what is important to you, which values you embody, what behaviors you display on a regular basis. So they will mirror hobbies, they will mirror attitudes, they will mirror values that you hold. They will share the same perspective on spirituality as you do. And in total, it will be a mirroring of abilities and attitudes that seem to be completely in sync, synchronized with them. But remember that they perceive this from you. They mapped you out before that. And over time, they will mirror increasingly more of who you are, and you see basically yourself reflected in them, while you don't even realize in most cases that they actually cloned and copied you. So, in parts, you fell in love with yourself being mirrored back to you. We're going to flip the coin to tails. What else is it that you fell in love with while dating the narcissist? It is their projected false self. There's the inner wounded child, the traumatized child in an adult's body that at some early point in their life needed to learn and acquire and build upon a defense mechanism against being re-triggered for the same trauma, which is usually abandonment, but not limited to that. So you get to see the false self, and this false self will do its utmost to portray to you everything that you are craving for in somebody else in a relationship. There will be attitudes, values, behaviors that you seek in somebody else that are different from your ex-boyfriends, that are different from your ex-girlfriends. And again, as on the head side of this coin, they already mapped you out, and they will project this to you, exactly what you're looking for. Thinking back, in your case, how many times do you now catch yourself thinking, When you spoke with your friends in your social circle, how often did you tell them he or she, he's so different than all the others, she's so different than all the others? Now ask yourself the following two questions before we proceed. What was your first male role model, not necessarily in a positive way, when you think about your father? And second question, how and what was your first female role model in the shape of your mother? These two answers are very vital for you to proceed in your own personal learning process. Why is that? Because depending on what you're looking for, if you're looking for the same toxicity, let's imagine you had a toxic mother and a toxic, let's make them both toxic. Toxic mother, toxic father. And you're dating a man or a woman, doesn't matter. Are you still searching, unconsciously, searching for the same toxic pattern of your father in a partner, in an intimate partner? If that is what you're searching for, this is what the narcissist will project back to you. You will find this in them. If, same outset, your father was a toxic man, and you're definitely looking for anything but that same particular toxic pattern in an intimate male partner right now, this is what the narcissist will project back to you. So to sum it up, you will get exactly what you're looking for. So let's go to the conclusion before we take a look at what your dating prospects in the future can look like. So be very mindful, conclusion point number one, be very mindful what it is that you're actually looking for. Because this is exactly what you're going to get for a time. There's a timer attached to this, which leads me to the second point of this video's conclusion. Everything they project to you and that they mirror back to you, the both sides of the coin, is a time-consuming effort. It is an effort to them in the form of an investment. They invest all this and they don't like to do this, which is why they try to go back to ex-partners so many times, because they've already mapped them out. The work towards them to get them hooked again is usually much easier to facilitate for the narcissist than it is to acquire new supply. So you as the supply get all this opium, all the mirroring, all the projecting, and you fall in love. And once you do, your dependency spikes, it rises, and the investment goes down. They don't have to put in their effort, which is why you ask yourself the questions at the beginning of the video. Why is he, why is she so different now than back then? How could I even have fallen in love with them? Because that person that is in my life right now is just somebody that I don't really love anymore. Remember that within narcissists, there is no fully shaped and formed self therein. There is the hurt child and the constructed false, almost godlike self, regardless of narcissistic personality type. And they need constant reassurance from the outside, from other people, regarding that constructed false self. So they try to minimize the time and effort and investment to get you hooked. They do this until you fall in love and that you basically can be labeled as a safe bet. Because you're gonna stay, aren't you? As is their hope. Point number 3 for the conclusion. A positive one, ladies and gentlemen. When we think back to coin, I think I called it the heads side of the coin, the mirroring side of the coin. that you fell in love with, this is actually, in a way, good news for you as a learning step to mature. Because what you fell in love with were mirrored attitudes, values, behaviors that came from you. So you basically fell in love with parts of yourself. And to those among you, ladies and gentlemen, that feel a lack of self-worth and little to no self-love, you can see this in a positive light to grow, because you already fell in love with parts of yourself, having been externalized and mirrored back, externalized to and mirrored back from somebody else to you. And now, how can the future of dating for you look like? Two vital aspects, ladies and gentlemen, and I wrote it down in my notes in caps lock. Take your time. Take it slow. I think it was Captain Howard in the Bad Boys movies, whenever he felt emotionally triggered. Wusa. Do live according to more wusa in your dating life. Take your time. Relax. Enjoy the dating. Not with paranoia, but accompanied by sufficient, clear-minded attention in your life, that you allow yourself the time to spot possible red flags. And there might be some that are just a mere nuisance or annoyance to you when it comes to his or her behavior. All right, might still be a good prospect for a future relationship. And if there are any toxic red flags that mark them as borderline or narcissistic, you can rest assured that you took your time to find them out, to not go hastily into a relationship, not hastily move together, not hastily marry within 5-6 months. And before we come to the last point of your possible dating future, one last example when it comes to your clear perspective and you paying attention in your dating life. From the Egyptian mythology, there is the falcon god Horus facing off against his uncle Seth, or Sutash in the original name, who was the god of chaos, change and destruction. And Horus prevailed. He defeated and banished his uncle, but not before the latter managed to rip an eye out of Horus's head. And I ask myself, why the eye? Why not the nose or the beak, depending on the form of Horus? Why not the arm or the wing? Why not an organ? Why the eye? And this is where this story comes back to you, ladies and gentlemen. Why have you lost your metaphorical eye in this process of accepting the change and facing your new reformation of your life and your own transformation? Why have you lost your metaphorical eye when you fought your personal god of chaos and change and destruction? Because, like in my life and all of our lives, our perspectives at some point or another, our perspectives were shit. And now the eye is removed, you embrace the change. And what emerges is wisdom, Thoth, the god of wisdom, and he restores the eye for a newer, more accurate perspective. And this is what I wish for you to have. Last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to your future dating prospects and process, if you will, let's chisel in to the stone tablet another new commandment. Thou shalt not need. Thou shalt not need, ladies and gentlemen. What you should and shall not need is someone else to complete you. You should not need someone to be the solution to your problems. You shouldn't need to have an intimate partner at your side in the role of your personal therapist. And you shouldn't need, thou shalt not need, somebody else to fulfill you. And if you find yourself feeling that you need all that, take your time being and remaining single and putting the work and investment into yourself to get yourself sorted out, to constructively transform yourself until you are on a personal adult maturity level that you attract just that in everyone else, adult maturity. Be that in business, circle of friends, and especially your intimate partnerships. Be your own hero and be your own heroine. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.